election night Oscars International Edition, where we get to witness performances by our favorite pundits, some of which we're going to be introduced to for the first time here, and I promise you it's worth it to watch them go against character, try to hold their emotions in as they complain bitterly about Trump emerging victorious in the 2024 election. And I'm going to judge who gives the top performance of the evening. And I want your comments who you would give it to. So here we go with Rory Stewart, a British MP who absolutely repeats over and over, is devastated by the result as he attempts to keep the stiff British upper lip.
Reflexively in that moment, gets right back up and says, fight, fight, fight. I don't think there's very few humans that could possibly have done that. And that speaks to that point of, it seems emblematic of what he's done perhaps tonight.
Disagree, there are very few humans who can do that. I think there are many humans who can do that. But I think what matters,
I guarantee you one thing, you couldn't do that.
Is that people like Elon Musk believe there are very few humans who can do that.
Yeah.
I think most people who've been in the military would be able to do that instinctively without blinking. Probably 20% of the population could do that. We shouldn't let Trump get away with the idea he's like a 0.0.
No. Don't give him any credit for it. Don't give him 1 ounce.
1% superhero.
No.
Right? That's a normal macho thing to do.
Anthony's point about his political...
Into the fundamental fact, the horrifying fact of what it actually will mean for America and the world, that this guy has just won again and won in this way. I'm worried that this is terribly bad for his ego and his narcissism.
Thank you, Dr. Freud.
If everybody's told you you can't do something repeatedly and you do it, I think you get a slightly more arrogant version of Trump this time round than you had before, and that's bad.
Well, it's impunity.
Very bad.
This is
very bad. He rose literally from the dead, both figuratively and literally with that bullet hitting him in the head. And you're talking about his ego and the narcissism. This is why everybody hates people like this weak little man, because he can't give anybody credit for anything. And everything has to be coached in his frame of the world. And he's incapable of seeing it from anybody else's.
I'm presenting this all in a slightly cheery voice. I am profoundly shattered by the whole situation. And what...
Keep that British stiff upper lip, old chap.
And the Democrats, who I felt had learnt a lot of lessons from 2016, had turned a lot of things around, sadly, on the night, did not do enough to win.
On the night. Everything was on that night. If only they had gotten those ballots in. Is that what you're talking about, like they did last time?
What do you think we got wrong?
Well, I mean, I got it totally wrong. I thought Kamala Harris would win, and I believe she would win comfortably. I thought it would be over quite quickly. Despite the polls
was over
showing
quite
50-50.
quickly. You got that part right.
Well, I can repeat my arguments. They were technical arguments about young African-American voters and how they would turn out, her ground game, the money, the performance of Biden's administration.
We don't need to hear you repeat your losing thoughts as you mull it over. Do that on your own time, Rory, you effeminate F-I-G, fig.
It's all turned out to be wrong, completely wrong. I don't think, though, that I was fundamentally wrong because I'm patronizing towards people. I never felt that. I never felt that as a politician in Britain. I didn't feel I was patronizing towards my Brexit voting constituents.
Even though I don't know who you are.
I think I was wrong because I'm an optimist. And I hate the idea of being right pessimistically. I think you can be a false prophet.
That's why you're wrong,
right.
not because you're stupid.
You can align yourself with the worst instincts of humanity. You can assume that everything's going to hell in a handbasket, or you can hope. And my bet on Kamala Harris...
He catastrophizes like a woman.
This was a bet on the American people. It was a bet on liberal democracy. It was a bet against populism, and it was a bet on hope.
Go jump off the London Bridge.
This just proves everything that I feared, that the bad people win, populism triumphs. And I've spent a long time trying to pull myself together and see moments of light and inspiration. You've just written a book inspiring young people to get involved in politics. We have to believe that tonight is a very, very devastating body blow. This is 25% of the global economy. This is the world's largest, oldest, most mature democracy that is just...
If we ever go to war with England, I hope the first bomb drops on your house. I'm being hyperbolic, but I just have no fondness for this individual.
Voted for a multiple convicted felon. I got it totally wrong.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm sort of, weirdly, I'm so devastated by this result that I'm paradoxically kind of proud that I was backing Harris. I mean,
You really need psychological help. You're proud of backing the losing candidate when you're talking about who got it right and who got it wrong. That's just making an egoic excuse that my heart was in the right place. Loser.
When I was reminded of the night in 2016, going for a walk in the dark in London after I heard that Trump had won the first time, and just that kind of sense of, or I felt the same, these kind of empty streets, the darkness, what on earth is happening to the United States? And I want to believe in fairy stories, maybe, and I wanted to believe it was impossible for Trump to win.
You're the star.
Fairy stories are what you read to your children at night. They don't happen in real life too often.
I don't think Rory has any children of his own.
A lot of people, I'm sure, on particular sides of the political spectrum, took a great deal of solace from your prediction when you made it. Do you regret making it?
No, I don't suppose so. I mean, I was completely wrong, but I would rather be wrong, I guess, optimistically, believing in people than be right pessimistically. I mean, and I became too hopeful.
I would rather go to the con man with wide open eyes and just say, I believe in humanity, rather than reading the actual tea leaves and having my money stolen. That's you. That's you as a politician. You're a Labour MP for Britain, I believe. I feel sorry for your constituents.
Yeah.
But you know, am I disgusted? I don't know. I mean, I think it's awful. I mean, this is the world's largest, oldest, greatest democracy, and I don't think the whole thing is on them. I think Josh maybe is being a little unjust and suggesting it's that they're all to blame for this, any more than I think anybody in any country who's defeated by an extremely unpleasant fascist. I wouldn't be putting the blame on the people standing against them.
Wow.
I'd be putting a little bit more of the blame on the people backing him.
Well, Rory, your performance was magnificent, you weak, pathetic little man. Next, we go to the Meidas touch, where an Irish friend of ours screams about abortion being life. And how dare anyone thus vote for DJT?
How you can look your daughter in the eye and then go and vote against her rights to exist in this country, and her right.
I'm voting against my daughter's right to exist? Really? I didn't know that. Had I known, I might have not voted for Donald Trump. Thanks for educating me a little bit too late.
To be as free as you are, it's beyond me. And you know, I got teary looking at my daughter when my wife was going in to vote. You know, and I started to think,
because I want her to have an abortion too. I want my grandchild to be aborted prematurely. And it's just going to bring a beautiful tear to my eye that I voted for Kamala and this could happen.
how many men across the country going into those voting stations have daughters, and whether or not they were able to justify a vote for somebody who is a serial sex offender or not. It had me really think when I was looking at this innocence, this beautiful 9-month-old baby, and try to think what kind of verbal gymnastics would you have to do to convince yourself that what you were doing was for her? You know,
because I don't want her being killed by an illegal immigrant or being accosted in a locker room by a trans woman.
If it was to vote for Donald Trump, and it just is beyond my realm of comprehension. It's something that would have to.
I think there are a lot of things beyond your realm of comprehension.
Yeah, it really struck me today thinking about that.
And now we have our favorite Sky News Britain, not to be confused with Sky News Australia, which I did when I was reviewing the video originally. And we have our pundit and our Sky News reporter complaining bitterly about the same old Trump winning the election and the length of his victory speech. How dare he?
Trump eventually did take to the stage. Same old notes, same old gags, same old anecdotes. And, you know, for a speech at 3 a.m, it perhaps went on too long for many.
Are you going to complain about everything there? All you do is fucking complain, eh? Yeah, the wrong person win.
Actually drifting away before he finished. But that does not diminish, of course, the significance and the historical nature of it all. God spared my life for a reason, he said. That reason being to save our country and return America to greatness.
Save the country. Subscribe to the channel and tune in for more videos. If you've made it this far and you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner.
He spoke of he has a job on his hands, Yalda, because clearly half of this country is trembling at the prospect of a Trump presidency.
No.
Remember the dark warnings
No,
that
that's
we
just
have been
media
given
spin.
about this
You're making them tremble with your BS narratives.
man who half the country said would embrace things like Project 2025, enhance the power of the executive, his power, and NATO worldwide concerns clearly will ensue from all of this. Fears of authoritarianism from a man described as a fascist by those who work most closely with him. How far will he go down the road towards authoritarianism, if indeed he does at all, and what will be in place to keep him in check?
And now from the Meidas touch, we have a man, allegedly, especially because he declares himself not really a man, and I'm sure that his correspondents here will attest to that in your minds, not only via his statements, but by his demeanor, by his top-notch British arrogance. Anthony Davis from the Meidas touch.
We are amazed that anybody voted for Donald Trump. I mean, that is what I find so
I'm
shocking.
amazed anybody voted for Harris.
He has claimed that there are illegal immigrants voting, which does not exist. And he is running on a lie. And unfortunately, people, because to quote a famous musical, everyone's a little bit racist, there is an aspect of xenophobia baked into humanity that makes people want to look to blame somebody for their own problems. And Trump has mobilized that movement to blame immigrants. That is part of the story, is that Donald Trump doesn't care for anybody, male or female. No. He has absolutely
not one person. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself, but he's a male, so maybe that doesn't count. You know who he actually cares about? They, them, because they're neither male nor female. That's who he actually cares about. Now we've settled it. He's not completely heartless.
No emotional connection with any of his supporters. He's simply here to stay out of prison and make as much money as possible in the meantime.
Yep.
And he has been rinsing these poor people who will...
Despite the fact that his net worth went down as president and that they lawfared him into attempted bankruptcy, they wanted to do so, where they valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million when I will pay $25 million for it today, and other people would pay $200 million.
Give them their last dime, who don't have a disposable income, to buy his NFC cards or his trainers or any of this NFT cards or any of this merchandise. And it's a tragedy because he really is just in it for himself, and they can't see that.
That's it.
I don't feel it.
Not for the good of the country.
I don't really consider myself to be male in the traditional sense.
No, I don't consider you to be male either, just to back you up.
Nor am I particularly American. And I don't want us to kind of go looking for reasons why the vote is playing out the way that it is and panicking and thinking, oh, well, why are men doing it? Because I don't think we're there yet. I really do feel
you're
we're still on track for a Kamala Harris win. I've been thinking, my daughter is 9 and she hates Donald Trump. I mean, my children have been well
I wonder
trained.
why.
When I drive them to school,
children are rather
talk about
impressionable.
how much we hate Donald Trump. And I and my boy,
I'm pretty sure you must have adopted your daughter.
My boy, who's 6, he's like, I hate Donald Trump. But I bought my daughter a Kamala Harris book.
Good father.
Kind of, a kid's book about Harris and about her life and about her career. Beautifully illustrated book that I read to her at night.
Does it have in the illustrations the times that she went down on her knees on Willie Brown in San Francisco?
And it's, I think it's really important to use this moment to hold up Kamala Harris as a role model to young women and kids of all genders, really, because it is
of all genders.
Shift. Kamala Harris as
all genders,
as an icon, and so he makes a compelling argument because he is a propagandist. And we and the reason I'm saying this is
look in the mirror
to just say, okay, the American people have made this decision, and that's that they've made their bed, and so they're going to lie in it. I believe that the American people who have voted for Donald Trump and have bought into his rhetoric they are victims. They are victims of a national mental health issue, as we've discussed. on my show.
Says the man who doesn't even know that he's male.
It makes you think that actually he is the right person because, as all despots do, they say, look, this is all broken and I alone can fix it. And that's what he's been running with. I'd actually go as far as to say that he doesn't really want to be the president this time around. The guy is exhausted.
I feel really bad for your 2 children, if in fact they're yours. I really do.
He does not want to do this job. He just doesn't want to go to prison. This is not the video that I wanted to make. this morning.
This guy.
Many of us have not had much sleep, so it's kind of hard to process what has happened. Much of it seems like a blur. And clearly we're all feeling the same feelings this morning. A sense of loss, of sadness, and a sense of dread of what is to come.
If anybody deserves it, it's you.
I've never really considered myself a Democrat, but as you know, I'm unashamedly pro-democracy. And
then you should be in favor of the result and accept it.
if you watch my coverage regularly, you'll know that my faith in the American electorate to do the right thing was way off.
I am so glad that you get to dictate what the proper course of action was, especially as a limey, non-male Brit.
I truly believe that this country was ready to put Donald Trump behind it. And being pro-democracy means accepting the results and coming to terms with what it means. Trump's words last night were, "Can you believe it?" And my thoughts were, no, I can't. I can't believe that this amazing country would choose hate over love, darkness over light, and dictatorship over democracy. But maybe it means that we need to adjust our parameters of what modern America represents. Maybe
Decency,
its default position is the past, the
merit,
Wild West, the cowboys, the guns, the toxic masculinity.
which you're not
America
a part of because you're
will, for the next few
female or
years,
they,
be
them.
ruled by the oligarchs, the misogynists, the Christian nationalists, and white supremacists that we feared. And Trump
Yep.
will likely hand over power so he can retire to the golf course. And for the people, owning the libs will be a short-term pleasure, ahead of rising inflation and lower wages, more expensive health care, and fewer public services. Trump will once again drive America into the ground. I feel sad.
He did a great job last
Sad
time.
for Ukraine, but mostly I feel sad for our planet, because of climate change.
If you feel sad for Ukraine, then you should not be on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's team, because they were the ones who basically invited Russia to invade via their withdrawal from Afghanistan, where they left billions of dollars of weapons behind, and by trying to state publicly that Ukraine would be a member of NATO, which for everybody who has even a cursory knowledge of geopolitics knew was Russia's big red line.
Naya just won the presidency. My young daughter chose to wear black to school today.
I feel bad
She
for
can
your
feel
daughter.
it. This impending sense of doom for what has happened. Her optimism shattered. And honestly, I am as confused as she is. The world's just got a lot less safe.
And now we have Alistair Cook, the gentleman who was Tony Blair's right-hand man in terms of lying all of UK to spend its blood and treasure to help George W. Bush invade Iraq, who lied to the Republic, to the Crown, to the British subjects over and over again. And it might not seem that he's melting down, but at the end, you get the idea of his true feelings. It's a short clip, but it's a good one. So let's all give a round of applause to Alistair Cook.
So that is it. Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. He's going to go well over the 270 electoral college votes, but he's also incredibly won the popular vote. And this marks, whether we like him or not, whether we like it or not, what has to be seen as one of the great comebacks in political history, not just in America, but anywhere in the world. There's no denying
That's true.
Donald Trump, a convicted felon, a man with countless accusations against him
felon.
of sexual assault, who then tried to overturn
Lies.
the 2020 election in a horrific act of violence, has won.
And here from the British show also is Marina, who convinced herself, she claimed over and over, that Kamala was going to win. And you'll see how she's fighting her emotions from coming through. But like all great performers, you sense what is underneath as the meltdown ensues.
But here's something that we didn't have to say 5 years ago in America. It is important to accept the results of the elections. I don't have to be happy that a convicted felon who stoked an
Good God, they're
insurrection
gonna stick to that
against the
talking
peaceful
point.
democratic
Just keep
transfer of power
repeating it.
is,
That's how you
and
get
a
the
guy
public
who's
to
been
swallow
accused of sexual assault by 26 women. I don't have to be happy that they're the president, but I accept it.
Marina, well done. We hope that you finished your cry 1 year later. And lastly, we have my wife's country, Canada, and I impugn them as an entire nation for their CBC and what they said about Donald Trump when he won. So bitter, so expecting tariffs that might hurt the Canadian cause, but not nearly as much as electing Mark Carney and the Liberals, which are destroying this once great white North, as we call it.
10 electoral college votes in Wisconsin takes him above the 270 electoral college vote threshold and takes him into
Thumb up
the
the video
White House.
if you like this result.
Donald J. Trump will be the next U.S. president. He becomes the leader of the world's most powerful nation for a second time, 45 and now 47. He is the first former president in the modern era to be elected again after losing an election. That has not happened in almost 130 years. You have to go back to the presidencies of Grover Cleveland. Trump's return to the White House is marked by other firsts. He will be the first twice impeached president to be reelected. He will be the first president convicted in a criminal court and found liable in civil court. He is still facing a federal indictment and potential trial over allegations he tried to overturn the 2020 election. Now he has won the 2024 race, and he will be, as I mentioned, the 47th president of the United States. Governing with a mandate from Americans voting for his promise of prosperity and deep tax cuts. That pledge could come with profound consequences for Canada. Trump says he'll bring in tariffs that could disrupt Canadian trade with the United States and Ottawa's relations with Washington. There are dark clouds, too, in Trump's vow to make America great again. He's vowing to stop illegal migrants with an unprecedented crackdown and deportation, saying he will begin rounding up millions of people on the first day of his presidency.
Thank you for
in his speech early this morning, Trump says he will bring the country together, saying he will be united and will unite Americans of all background in common cause. Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States.
Canada, you deserve your feckless leaders. You really do. And after it's all been said and done, the moment of truth. Who wins the Oscar for Best International Meltdown? Is it Rory Stewart, the nation of Canada, or Anthony Davis? All top-notch contenders. But I have to, with a bare elevation above his competition, give it to Rory Stewart, the man who was so wiped out, who it was so devastating to. It's a beautiful thing to watch a limey Brit, a weak man, melt down